The process is often considered to be daunting and difficult. And for this reason, the month of August, that is the month of results, can be a lot more nerve-wracking than it needs to be. And for this reason, many people prefer to consult or obtain the service of a visa agent. But I believe, with a thorough understanding of how it works and what needs to be done, you don't really need to spend a huge sum in addition to the already expensive higher education process or path you're taking. My name is Atifan Purin, and I hope I'm able to make this step just a little bit easier. First things first, you need to ask yourself the question, do I need a student visa? And the answer to that would be, for the most part, yes, you do. However, students from the EU, Switzerland, and from EEA countries have the option of proceeding with the EU settlement scheme. Now, this is obviously a direct result of Brexit and its continued implications into the British immigration policies, right? But if you cannot obtain or be part of the EU settlement scheme for being unable to apply within the deadline or not fitting the criteria, you don't have to panic about it. You can follow the normal procedure, and for the rest of us, it's not a given. We do have to follow the normal procedure, and I'll go ahead with that, and I'll just explain how it works, right? So the first step to getting the student visa is to it starts with the UCAS application, right? In which you would mention that you are an international student and your university will be aware of it, and they would say that to proceed or to be part of a university and to join us and study with us, you have to receive your CAS statement, right? And then that prompts the question, right? What on earth is a CAS statement? CAS statement literally stands, or a CAS stands literally for the Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies, CAS. This is a document that has your CAS code, which you would input into your visa application portal and make part of your visa. It's an electronic record that your university will send to the Home Office, right? And to get your CAS statement, you will have to fulfill the conditions of your offer. This is assuming that you have a conditional offer, and given that many of students, unlike me, who took a gap year, many of the students who applied, with their AS levels, they do have to fulfill conditions. So for the most part, you will fulfill your condition after your results date, and only then will you be given your CAS statement, right? Which is why I talked about how stressful August will be for many of you. To access your visa application, you can open the government websites, that's gov.uk, and then you have to open the visas and immigration section. I will definitely have a link for this at the bottom of just at the description page. And also remember, before you start your application, just keep in your mind that after about 20 to 25 minutes of inactivity, right, what happens is you're automatically logged off, and for you to access the application again, you will have to open the link sent to you, and this might sometimes be a bit difficult or finicky, and it's a process that's not needed. And what I recommend and what I think is the best thing to do is to understand what is required for your visa application, right? Understand what are the things you need, like your birth certificate, the name on your birth certificate, your CAS letter, the CAS code, the address, right? All of which I will get into in this video, and have it prepared with you, and you can fill it in one go. And it takes a bit of time, true, but making sure you have everything with you and going ahead with it is the best option to make sure you don't miss anything and you don't have to re-enter or retype or make mistakes. Essentially, measure twice, cut once. The application is divided into multiple sections, and I'll try my best to walk you through them as to the best of my ability, right? So first, you will fill the application and answer the questions, right? You will start with the application, fill the answers, and then you have to make sure you go through everything here. You'll have to make sure to preview it and see if all the answers are accurate, if you haven't made any spelling mistakes, if you correctly added them. And if you move on to the next section, you can't come back and fill your details. That is the problem. For instance, if you move from the application section to the consent section or whatever, you can't really move back. and believe me, I may have learned it the hard way. And then from then on, you will go to fill your declarations, and they will inform you of your documents, and then you will have to make the payments, right? So this is the gist of it. If you are an international student, you will be faced with a series of simple and standard questions, right? Including your name, your parents' name, your email address, your postal address, contact details, and whatnot. Generic questions that you will regardlessly be asked of. Then you will be posed with questions that are more specific for the visa application itself, right? The first of this would be your travel history over the last 10 years. Make sure this segment is filled accurately, and if you have traveled with family, I recommend that you go through their passports as well and see if the dates of entry and exit tally, right? That's what I recommend. And it's very common for immigration officers to put your exit and entry dates on your passport in an order that's not chronological. What I mean by this, and let me give you an example. Let's say you go to LA from, I don't know, Heathrow, right? And your entry date is put on the 8th page of your passport, right? And your exit date is put on the 5th page of your passport. If such a scenario happens, when you revisit it maybe 2-3 years later, there's a high chance you'll miss it because you really don't know where the dates are. So what I did and what I recommend you do is to take an Excel sheet, have a few columns, a column that records the date, and then a column that records the country, and another column that records it as either exit or entry, and having it color coded, it is the best thing. It makes life a hell of a lot easier, right? And from that point onwards, you can chronologically separate it. I'll have you can see right here of an example of how it can be done, and this is something like what I have done, and this will make your life easier when you're filling it, and you'll make sure you won't miss a beat, you won't make any mistakes. And doing this before you start the application is important, because as I told you earlier, after 25 minutes of inactivity, you will lose access to your portal. So best thing is to do this beforehand, prepare and keep it with you, and then you can fill in your details one after another automatically, right? Following this, you will be asked about your convictions and penalties, and if there is any criminal record you have. Along with that, they might also ask you regarding your connections with organizations that the English government might deem extreme or whatnot. So just go through it and make sure it's either a yes or a no. So right, just tick that off and whatnot. Yeah. Under the application section, you will be asked about your source of funding for maintenance. If you have taken a loan or if you have a scholarship, go through that and fill it. Those are very direct and forward questions, nothing to be worried about. As you read it, you will be able to understand it. Once you have completed your application, you will move on to the next section that will mention the documents you compulsorily need to bring or submit as part of your visa. And this would include your passport, the qualifications submitted to obtain your CAS, the letter of confirmation to use your parents' funds or whatever, and birth certificate. These are, the ordinarily compulsory documents that most people require. Some of them, for instance, people who have adopted parents or have legal guardians might have slightly different documents they compulsorily need to provide. So in this section of your visa application, it will mention to you what you need to bring, right? So once you've completed this section, you will go on to give your consent and declarations, right? So there is nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be intimidated by. You can read it clearly. All your conditions to your visa are available, so you can read through it. If you are unhappy with these conditions, you can obviously skip it and not choose it. That is perfectly under your ability. And mind you, these declarations and all are all before the payment, so it's not like you will be losing money if you later on decide you don't want to go through it because you aren't agreeing with the declarations and what they have in the consent form. So don't worry about it. Read through it patiently. It's pretty simple, right? The next part, in my opinion, is the most heartbreaking aspect of this application. What I mean by that is the health surcharge payment, the immigration health surcharge payment. In the UK, unlike many other countries, maybe the US or like your own country, I'm not sure, each country has a different policy towards payment of and for health reasons, right? The NHS is primarily tasked with providing health services, and to be very brief, the NHS provides most healthcare to most people for free, right? But in 2015, a health surcharge was introduced for people who will be residing, so immigrants will be residing in the UK for more than a period of 6 months, and this was done primarily to prevent abusing this wonderful service that the NHS provides, and along with that, in my opinion, to also fund the NHS, because the NHS has, over the last 5-10, especially through the pandemic, has been deemed to be have lack of funding and unable to take care of itself. So I feel like it's a good way for them making money. But I digress. Going ahead, I want to inform you that after the pandemic, the costs of this surcharge increased even more than what it was. It was about 300 to 400 pounds in a year, if I remember correctly, but now it will cost you 624 pounds per year of stay. So for example, and this is for someone who's above the age of 18. Below the age of 18, the rates are ever so slightly low. I believe it's in the 400 odd pounds. So that's as far as I remember. And for instance, if you're a law student who's above the age of 18, who will be going through a 3-year LLB course, right? Someone like me, you will have to pay £1,872 in addition to the visa fees, which I will get to next, right? So how much does the visa actually cost? Well, that depends. If you're applying from the UK, you would have to pay roughly £363. No, not roughly, that's exactly £363. I don't know why I said roughly. And if you're applying to extend your visa from the UK, that would be £490. And that there would be your application completed, from which you will be prompted and you will be moved to another section of your visa, in which it would say further actions, under which they would direct you towards providing your documents exactly to the VFS and whatnot. So I've gone through the visa application process, and I will in another video, in a following video that I would attach with this in the link, I would go through the documents needed, precisely what the documents needed, and maybe another additional video with regards to financing and how finance needs to be put forward. And that is it. That is the video that I have for you. I want to make a declaration once again from my part that I am not a visa agent. I have no working experience in this field, and all that I am providing is publicly available information that is found in the government websites, in the Home Office website and whatnot, and all interpretations of what is available, the words and the wordings, are my own personal interpretations. So that's the declaration I am willing to make. I hope this has made your application easy, and I believe for the Edexcel results date is on the 18th. I'm not sure about the other exam providers. All the best for everyone. I hope you get through your bits, and I hope you're able to pass and achieve your conditions so that you'll be able to make this application. And don't worry with regards to your applications. Remember that the visa office within its website says it would take maximum of 3 working weeks for them to generally deal with it. Normally you would have the service, the priority service and the super priority service, which means you can get it done within 5 days or the very next day, if I'm not wrong. But these services have been temporarily suspended due to the prioritization of Ukrainian citizens because of the status quo. I will keep you posted, and I will get into a bit more brief with regards to documents in the very next video. Stay tuned for that. I'll have that out soon as well. Thank you. Have a nice day, guys.